no big deal. Let's bring Zander in. It's June 17th.
What's up, Big Silz?
All right, Zander. By the way, first and foremost, Philly 500 with a knockout again. Is he undisputed?
I thought it was closer. Philly 500. I love you. I thought it was a little closer this time. It's tough to answer this if you're a Philly fan. I got to be honest. It really is. It's not a good look. And you saw it. I mean, I'm with Philly 500 on most things, but even he didn't really have a response for this. Now, I think, like you said, Dallas's position is a whole lot worse, but this does not look good. And it's what you said. I think it's shows that they didn't fix what caused them the collapse last year. Last year wasn't a talent collapse. It was something inside the locker room, and it doesn't look great. I'm not going to be honest. Or I'm going to be honest. It doesn't look great.
But here's where I might agree with him.
I'll still give the win to Philly 500, though, by the way. I thought he rebounded.
Here's something, though, that maybe we can all agree on. Do you think, because when Howard comes out and says, and I think John took it for verbatim, and I thought it was more of a euphemism that they're going to Carson Wentz him, which to me meant moving on from him in some way or form or fashion. That, hey, if Howie's so brilliant on contracts, you don't think he can contrive a deal to get a dance partner to work a contract up to move off of him?
Yeah,
if he's so good at these contracts, let me tell you something about Howie. You don't think that guy has built the failsafe for him to get out of deals?
Oh, he definitely has. If you look at the fine print, I mean, there technically is a way they could get out, but I don't think they're going to go that route because.
Okay, I agree. But how about this? Do you think it was that they really were pissed off and they told Howard Eskin, hey, guess what? If this guy doesn't want to play along with us, let me tell you something. We moved on from Doug. We moved on from Wentz. We can move on from him. Nobody is expendable here when it comes to the way we're doing business. And it was more of a message, like a smoke signal.
Right.
With I don't know how much intent, Zander, that was made for him to go, hey, fall in line, get in line, or you walk the line.
See, that's where I think you were really on to something with and Philly made a good point, and me and John talked about this. This was really was overblown until the organization verified it by one. Jeff McClain comes out. Key figures are upset at Jalen Hurts. Who's key figures? Howie and Jeff. Those are the only key figures that you can come up with.
Only people that matter.
Right. The only people that matter are Howie and Jeff, or really Jeff and Howie. So Jeff more than Howie, though, obviously. Jeffrey Lurie, the owner. And now Howard Eskin comes out. First, he denied the 25% thing, which might show that they were also upset with that because it undermined the head coach. And now they're saying, now he comes out and says this yesterday. They're going to it's like, listen, Jalen, you better start making us look good, or else we will find a way to move on from you and make you look like the bad guy. It's kind of, it's messed up if that's what they're doing, but I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, look, they did the same thing to Doug in a different kind of way. Doug said, I'm not going to do what you guys want me to do. And they fired him. They fired him like it was easy. I think they might be, I think you're on to something there. I don't want to go there yet.
Here,
it's tough to not connect the dots though, right?
Let me do something to you here. And this is directed at you.
Yeah.
You've gotten how many calls about me from that organization on just the dumbest, stupidest, smallest shit? 5, 6?
We get a lot. We've gotten probably more than that. I mean, we get consistent calls. Yeah.
If Howard was so off base, wouldn't they demand a retraction on the flagship station of the Philadelphia Eagles and an employee of the Philadelphia? He's an employee of the Eagles. He's not employed.
He has a Super Bowl ring, Dan.
Right.
They gave him a Super Bowl ring.
Do you know that some broadcasters don't get them? Some broadcasters don't get rings.
My point is, he is obviously in cahoots with the organization.
Do you know Brad Sham?
You and Angelo, I think it was Angelo, said the other day, like, Howard's not going to jeopardize his job at this point in his career. He wouldn't say something unless the Eagles were okay with whatever he was going to say.
You want to hear something? Brad Sham doesn't have a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, which is absurd, by the way. Brad Sham is like the Merrill Reese of Philadelphia.
Right. Okay. Because they look at them wanting to control them a little more. Okay, Merrill's different. Merrill's different. He's gone through generations. It's a different thing. This guy was a talk show host masquerading as a talk show host, but now an employee of the team. They're not going to Zander, they don't even want me calling your GM a CPA, but they're going to allow that guy to come out and go like this. They're going to Carson Wentz Hurts if he doesn't have a good 24 year and not go like this to the PD. Hey, PD, man, I want that guy to go on the air and retract that. You made players last year and coaches retract all kinds of statements and quantify what you meant and to clarify what you meant. You're not going to clarify that comment?
No, it's true. Now, now I do think the Eagles probably Howard is a big mouth, like Yale says that. Howard is a big mouth. He speaks in superlatives like you do, and I think there's some of that goes into it. But the point is correct. Howard won't say something to jeopardize his job with the Eagles. What he said makes the Eagles look worse, which means the Eagles wanted it out there, or they were okay with it being out there, and Howard got the okay to run with it. Because now, I mean, what does this look like? Like, I don't know how we defend this. I'm not going to go overboard. I think if we win ball games, who cares?
Goes away.
Right now, it doesn't look great. I mean, look, I'm an Eagles fan, and I know that everybody in here is. Does it not give you some pause, though, the way we ended last year?
Yes.
Like, look,
it's carried over into the offseason.
Right. Like, I'm trying to be honest about this. I hope we go to the Super Bowl. I hope we win the next 5 Super Bowls. But I am concerned that whatever it was that led to them going 1-7 last year is still prominent in the organization.
Here, you see what Steve Ike says here? It's a great take by Steve. No football talk yet? I know we've been waiting for it the entire offseason, Steve. How about that? Steve, you're right. We've been waiting for it. But the Eagles, the head coach, the quarterback, an employee of the team has come out. These are not media made. And then you got, like you said, Jeff McClain, who's a beat writer for the Inquirer that covers the team on a day-to-day basis, is not going to jeopardize his availability to be able to get in that building. They're not going to name and do shit where the organization is upset. This is not made up by us. This is people in the organization still doing this.
Like I said, I mean, I sit here and I do Birds 365. I run this channel. I'm a part of the media now, I guess you could say. I don't view myself as that, but that's how I'm going to be perceived now. I never thought I felt like when I was doing the show, this is overblown. Like, this is stupid to talk about for more than a week. But once the stuff comes out about about higher ups and now Howard, now I'm like, okay, now, it's like the Hassan Reddick deal, right? Like, okay, maybe it was the right move to move on from Hassan Reddick. Then Howie goes up on the stand and he starts getting defensive. Now I'm like, now maybe he did make the wrong move there. Or like, when you get defensive about it, or you validate it with those comments, or in that case with that reaction, now I have actual pause. And like I said, I don't think it's going to be something that derails the season. But if they don't get this on track, I mean, we went 1-7 last time there was dysfunction in the organization down the stretch. So what's going to happen this year?
How about this? Do you think Jalen's behavior has caused tense feelings in the front? I'm not saying catastrophic, but do you think they've done this? This guy has gone on 2 years. We needed him last year, and now we needed him in the offseason, and we're just not seeing him play along with us like Nick's playing. It looks like to me, Nick's playing along.
Yeah, you know what it looks like to me?
That's why I think, to your point, why they're defending Nick more, because Nick's more of a team ball player for that front office than Jalen is. Jalen's more like Doug.
That's exactly where I was about to go. Is this the Doug Peterson treatment on the quarterback right now?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. And now that I'm thinking about it,
doesn't it look like it?
It really does look like it. Now, South Jersey D says, is Sirianni the real problem the front office is trying to hide? That's kind of what I think, but Sirianni's doing the dance. He's playing the political game, right, of the Eagles, which you have to play when you're here. Doug Peterson wasn't willing to play it. Now that you said that, I don't think Jalen's the problem at all. But I'm saying I think Jalen might be upset with how they're handling, or the power structure, or all of those things.
Who's more valuable to Jeffrey Lurie right now, Jalen Hurts or Nick Sirianni?
It's got to be Jalen Hurts, no? But here's the
You would think.
You would think, but he's the one who hires the head coaches. So maybe he feels a personal thing there where it's like, I can't fire another coach that won me an NFC title. Maybe
And
that's
we're developing the coach that we always coveted.
See, now my point is my stance on this is evolving. Brandon the Great says they are disgusting. Jalen is standing up. Now maybe Angelo really was right in a sense, where Jalen is not putting up with this organization's bullshit. Now they're using Jeff McClain, they're using Howard Eskin, and they're cornering him to say, "Hey, dude, this isn't just media reaction. This is us. We're pissed at you for what you said and for not falling in line, if you will."
Let me show you something else here, and I hit on this. And I'm glad that you clarified it when I brought up ESP, that Elliot Spitzer, whatever guy, who wrote that article on Deshaun Jackson, not to rehash that. However, so this guy bled some intel from maybe Chip Kelly's regime, and he wrote that, and you allow that guy back into a locker room, and you allow that guy around players who have private conversations, and he hears private conversations with coaches and players, and then on top of that, you have a guy yesterday go out and say that thing about Jalen. Here's a guy on the sidelines that hears private conversations between coaches and players. Do you trust that guy if you're the Eagles, who goes on a 50,000-watt station and barking that they're going to Carson Wentz the quarterback? You're sitting there listening to AJ talk to him. Maybe there's an in-game conversation that nobody would understand, only players would. Hey, get the fucking ball to me. And you would take that as an argument when it's really not. Do you trust that? To be able to have a guy go on the air and go, there's discord in the locker room with the coach and or the quarterback in the organization, without it being told to you?
See, here's my question on this, because you're making good points. What's the end game here?
The end game is to put Jalen either on the rails or move off him.
Yeah, but why? What does that get us?
What?
That doesn't get us anything. This
What did
organization,
it get you firing Doug?
It
lost you a Super Bowl firing Doug.
I still don't see the end game here. Other than them trying to, yeah, right. I mean, that's the only explanation I would guess at this point. I mean,
it's really sad.
I was hard on Jalen yesterday. I don't know if this is Jalen. I don't know if this. I don't know.
No. I think Jalen, what Angelo said yesterday is true.
See, look at this from Prince. This is cash right here. That's a cash comment. That sounds like Howie. I will Carson Wentz you. I'm Howie. I built this. Remember, this is a guy that had the PR department call us because you called him a glorified CPA. They threatened us over that type of comment. That's a guy who's got an ego problem and that doesn't want to be crossed. That's a good comment by Prince right there. This is Howie written all over it.
Prince,
this really does have Howie written on it.
Hey, Prince, that's right, and that's how he talks. That's how he talks. Hey, let me tell you something, guys. Did you hear the kid? Did you hear Zander? That's somebody would have a small problem with a dumbass Dan Sileo. This guy is a sand tablet in the beach. You're telling me you're going to allow all this talk to go on around your organization and not have anybody step up? Come on, man.
I want to address one more comment here, but you also asked a question earlier. Is there more drama since Doug? I would say no. Remember before Nick Sirianni.
Well, there's more control then.
Well, let me finish. Carson Wentz, there was a boatload of drama. Even Alshon Jeffrey, there was drama. There was drama well before. Even when Frank Reich departed the Eagles organization, there was some drama. When Nick Sirianni got hired, go back and watch that first press conference. All the questions were, how are you going to fix Carson Wentz? The common denominator now with a completely new regime, a new quarterback, a new core of your roster, the only common denominator is the front office. There's Nick Sirianni's not the common denominator. Jalen Hurts isn't the common denominator. That's why someone asked this comment. Let me bring it up. Joe Whipp, he says, guys, maybe Hurts is an issue behind the scenes. See, Joe, I've been feeling that way for the last couple of days. But the more I'm thinking about this,
maybe the issue is he doesn't like what's in the building when it comes to coaching him.
well, forget the coaches. Go higher. Maybe
Okay.
Jalen doesn't like the entire structure of this thing.
Agreed. I don't think he does.
Is it that Jalen doesn't trust Nick, or is
Doesn't
it that
trust Howie.
Jalen doesn't trust the input that Nick is forced to take
Yes.
and apply to the game plan, the roster, and all those things?
Completely, that's the case. Because you know why? The hiring of the coaches is what's causing this discord. How about this one? Just in a small little soundbite that I played of Vic Fangio on my Twitter page.
Boy, that was
Vic-
funny, huh?
Hey, how about this? Vic goes like this. Vic just goes like this. He goes, hey, they weren't very good last year.
Dude,
Hopefully we brought in some new coaches and players and we're a little bit better. He took a direct shot at Howie because you know why? He ain't talking about scheme. Remember what he said at his press conference? Hey, schemes don't make better defenses. Players make better defenses. He told you flat out they weren't good last year.
flat
Had
out.
to just swing a golf club. They weren't good. Well, that's on Howie. That's not on Nick. He's not hiring defensive guys or drafting defensive guys. That just tells you what's going on in the building.
Look at this comment. I mean, I love the comments, man. I love them. They're hilarious. Mr. Perez.
Howie.
I love Howie. That's how you tell people you run the show. Yeah, but Perez, I'm cool with that too. If somebody wants to flex their muscles and say, hey, man, I'm boss. This is how it runs. But you got to do it in a way that works. This is a team game. This isn't an ego game. I mean, you got to make your quarterback, your coach, you got to have a whole roster and a whole team built in. These are grown men, man, making millions of dollars. It takes more than just a paycheck to get them motivated. I mean, there's a lot more to this that, goes into the leadership and all those things that Howie's not picking up if this is true. Now, this is still just speculation, but I don't know. I'm almost regretting some of my Jalen Hurts comments because people have been killing me. Why am I so hard on Jalen Hurts? I don't know, man. This might not be Jalen Hurts at all. Remember, Jalen Hurts, Angela says another thing that's good. Jalen Hurts was raised by a coach.
Yeah.
He's a coach's kid. That teaches you a lot when you're growing up. And his dad is a pretty good high school coach down there in Texas. He's not like some small ball coach. He coaches good high school teams in Texas.
His team is really good around the Houston area.
Yeah, exactly. And you know how Texas high school ball is. That's like nearly college ball down there.
30,000 kids at those
games.
Absolutely every night.
So Jalen's, he might be like, man, this bullshit, we're never going to get to where we want to go with this type of setup in this organization. But I still don't get why he wouldn't back Nick. But it's almost like now I think
frustration.
Yeah. Maybe because Nick is being their lapdog for the front office.
Nick's playing along, Jalen's not. Okay.
So here's the tough part, right? As an Eagles fan, I'm sure everybody can feel for this. I don't know. Maybe look, I don't want to make maybe Howie's not the problem, but Flexen, he's been saying this. Fire Howie. Howie's the problem. See, here's the problem. An Underdog, another guy I'm not sure if he's in there right now, but he brings up a lot of good points about Howie as well. On one hand, you have these things where you're like, why is Howie running the organization the way he is? And then on the other hand, you're like, AJ Brown's locked up, Devontae Smith's locked up, Jordan Mailata's locked up, Landon Dickerson's locked up, Jalen Carter's going to be the new core for replacing Fletcher Cox. Jalen Hurts is locked up. They brought in Saquon Barkley. Dallas Goedert's under contract. You're like, it's hard to hate him because you're like, he's doing a good job, but
he's too many job titles. You know what? I'll tell you what, Chris Landry, about 2 years ago, you put him on the program, and two things he said. Nobody would ever confuse Howie Roseman for a personnel man. But as a front office man, he's exceptional. And he is. This guy doesn't know where to stay in his lane. He just doesn't know where to stay in his lane. Hey, dude, get away from the coaches on Sunday.
Does Nick Sirianni suck or does Howie?
I don't know. I don't know.
This is the $1 million question.
Good in Indy.
This is the $1 million question. We've all been beating Sirianni to a pulp.
I don't know if Nick's. I'll tell you what, he was a damn good play caller when Phillip Rivers was in Indy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to. Look at Yale. He says we're all on acid. Yale, maybe you're right, man. I don't know. It's June 19th, and maybe we are on acid, but something's wrong with this organization. Yale, do you not agree? Yale, come on, Yale. You got to hit. You got to give me a
If it was
response.
one or two things, I'm going to go with your June 17th deal. When it's 14 things and it's coming from the building and not people's mouths like mine, come on, man. You're getting employees and players and coaches doing it. Hey, the handcuffs are off us now, finally. What? Shit like that. I mean, it's guys responding on Twitter like Devontae Smith to stupid Cilio. What is going on?
See, some of the players, I think, don't mind or don't maybe they choose to not see it.
AJ embraces it because he knows how to deal with it.
Well, no, because he's getting paid, man.
Yeah, well,
I can be mad at Howie. He just gave me a second contract in 2 years for $32 million a year. I'm good. Howie can do whatever he wants. Devontae Smith's like, I got my extension early. I got $75 million guaranteed money coming to me. I'm good. All these guys are. Jalen Hurts, I mean, he might be pissed, but he's like, my bag of money's coming. I mean, what better way to keep a group of professional grown men making millions of dollars a year not be pissed at you? You pay them. Pay them.
Okay, fuck it. I'll take it. Hey, you gave me the greatest topic the last 2 days. I'd never get off this fucking contract. They're tied to this thing. So I called the NFLPA and I go, how do you get out of a Jalen Hurts contract? So they gave me a little parameters on how to get out of it. Now look, I happen to agree with John. Do I think they'll move off of him after this year if 2024 he doesn't have a great year? I'll tell you what, if he sucks worse than he did in 23, okay, they would move heaven and earth to get off his ass.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to. I think they want him to fall in line is what I think they want, and they're going to do everything they can. If we start to see more stuff like this, like I'm already waiting for Jalen's first press conference after he gets back for training camp. And like normally I don't really care much about the press conferences, whatever. Like it doesn't matter, say whatever you want. You guys aren't under oath. Nobody cares. Now I'm wondering, are they going to have Jalen come out and walk the line for the organization, make sure he gets in line, or else are you going to see more reports? Jalen Hurts sucks at training camp. Eagles not happy. Kenny Pickett looks good at training camp. I'm curious to see how that's going to go.
Didn't you find that odd that we used to get updates from ESP about Jalen's fabulous day of 1 for 2 for 70 yards and completion and really looking guys off? It was like a daily A for the day. This last offseason, it was this. Quarterback did not look good. Wasn't a good day. Hey, the quarterback looks inconsistent. John McMullen, Jeff McClain. It was like I thought I was at a White House press secretary thing where everything was set up to sound bad towards this. And you were like, whoa, everyone's falling in line with this. Now, is that a great point right here, or is that a setup by the organization?
I think it's a setup. I mean, like I like what Bob said, because I asked John this. I'm like, all right, if they have a problem, Jeffrey's turning to Eskin to deliver a message. You're the owner and gave the kid $250 million. Take him to dinner and talk it out. It's so true. Even me and you, when we're off the show, bitching about shit. Silz, stop texting me, call me, and let's figure this out. Like men, like business people.
Yeah.
It's a business. And I wonder if Darlene, come on, Darlene. She says, fire Jalen Hurts. We're saying he's not the problem. We're pointing to the front office right now. Something's up, Darlene. We're trying to figure out what it is.
Here's my problem, what they're doing with Jalen Wentz. You know what they're doing with Jalen Wentz? Okay, so they're changing him from 22. They don't like his attitude, the way he's acting. Jalen Wentz now is just seemingly, this is like another, and you paid them both. And now you don't like what he's saying. You don't like how he's not falling in line. And Carson Wentz was bitching about some of the personnel. I mean, it just seems so exactly the same.
I know. It's crazy.
And now you're treating Jalen more like Doug.
Oh, my God. See, this is a problem, because if this thing blows up like that era of the Eagles did, there's only one answer. I mean, you're not going to blame a second quarterback, a second group of players, and a second set of coaches on something there's one common denominator. And that, exactly, Prince says, what's the common denominator? the front office, Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie. That's the common denominator.
How about this? I'm going to show you something here. So Trent Baalke was such a subversive in the 49er organization. He got Kaepernick off that team who the year previous got him to a Super Bowl. He got Jim Harbaugh to resign. Players were retiring. 49ers finally went, wow. This guy, he hired Thomas Sula. Then he hired even Chip again up there. And guess what they did? They fired him. You know what he's doing now? He's general manager lapdog for Doug down in Jacksonville because he knows how to construct contracts. And that's exactly what Doug does to him. He keeps him in that sandbox. You're not in personnel. Doug handles that with his personnel people. So you have some of these guys that think they can do it all.
Yeah.
And know how to do it all. And they can't. His problem again, dude, anybody who has control of the roster in his eyes has control of the team. You see, cutting a good deal for the players is not good enough for him. He's got to have control of the roster. When you have control of the roster, you have control of the coaches.
I think it's even deeper than that. I mean, why is Nick not? Nick looks like he walks on eggshells constantly, and then he goes out there and says all sorts of different things, contradicts himself in different press conferences. I mean, he comes out and says it's a meshing of the offenses. Then he comes out and says, "Oh, I'm viewing the offense from 30,000 feet." Like
that's what he hears from Jeffrey. He hears that from Jeffrey. You know what? I don't think this guy's lying anymore because I'm going to tell you why. You know what I think he is?
Which guy?
Nick. I think he hears exactly what they're telling him and their mentality and ideology and how they want this organization to be run. Because the only way, Zander, that you kept your job, you fired. If you hired Desai and you fired Desai, then you made the move. All of that shit is fireable offenses for making an employee. Dude, you were 10-2. You were in first place in the NFC to have home field. You destroyed an entire season. Okay? How do you keep your job? Dude, I saw Marty Schottenheimer 14-2 fired because he fucked the season up in postseason. These coaches are expendable, and they feel this. If I can fire Doug, I don't care how many wins and how many Super Bowls that guy's been to. I'm going to fire that guy. They look at him. They can't look at him like they look at Doug. There's no way you look at Nick Sirianni and go, that's a Super Bowl coach. Hey, you got there because we put you there. Nick looks at it like, okay. Doug looked at it like, you won a Super Bowl because I got you there. They don't want to hear that.
It's true. It's true. And it goes back to, remember when Doug won the Super Bowl? They didn't believe that was Doug winning the Super Bowl. They thought it was them and the genius of the front office that won the Super Bowl. The guy that went with a backup quarterback and beats the greatest coach quarterback duo in the history of the sport in the biggest game with a substitute teacher, wins the game, and they didn't think he was the reason they won it, or at least part of it.
His coaching staff.
And the more we see that this stuff come out, I think the worse it looks for them, and that potentially is why they're protecting Nick Sirianni so much, or they're forcing him to the front so that they have their easy scapegoat if this goes to shit.
Well, I'll tell you something. I think really that JAKIB Sports, and most notably our show, along with Angelo, I think we've exposed these people. And get this, you know what's crazy? You're exposing a winning franchise, which is
that's the thing. It goes back to what I said earlier about, on one hand, you wonder what Howie's doing behind the scenes and if he's too involved in too much. On the other hand, you look at the roster and you're like, man, we're freaking stacked. I can't be mad at the guy. It's the same thing, right? We compete every year. We're in the race every year. It keeps you coming back for more. It keeps you on the rails, right? It's almost like we're stuck here. You know, I don't know where to go. I mean, it's hard to criticize him too much. Like I said, we got one of the best rosters in the league. That's Howie Roseman. That's a good thing for Howie Roseman. How can I criticize all the other shit? It's tough.
I want to show you something here. So he called the NFLPA up on Hurts's contract. And if Hurts say they wanted to trade him prior to this year after June 1, he's only been paid $24.3 million so far. And that's not going to happen. Okay? It's just not. Here's the two things that have to happen. He's got to waive his no trade clause. He's got to waive that if it's going to be. And what Howie has to do is find a dance partner. Now, get this. The contract for 25 is fully guaranteed. It's got option bonuses, a $41 million bonus, and his base is 1.17. That's why.
You can't hide. They can't hide behind this one.
Hold on here. Next 3 years, they'll pay $133 million at around 44.33 per year. He would have to waive his contract and have someone pick that number up, the 133 over the next 3 years, for them to be able to move him. Now, I want to show you something else here. Russell Wilson, the Denver Broncos are paying him $44 million this year. And you know how much the Steelers are paying him? 1.3 to play in Pittsburgh. He's going to make $46 million this year. And the Broncos are paying a guy to play in the AFC half of $100 million just to get the fuck out of Denver. Okay? You can defer some of the money out too, but that lingers on your cap. The cap is going to continue to go up. There's no way a guy puts a deal like Jalen's deal together without an off-ramp built in somewhere in there. He's not going to give himself one thing his contracts are very great at, he never pigeonholes himself into anything. And they showed us in that Wentz deal, they ate $38 million when they moved his ass to Indianapolis. They'll eat some dough. And maybe, Zander, that's why you're saving up in that cap space with $30 million.
Yeah.
Why do you have $30 million in cap space?
I don't see this because I asked earlier.
But what do you have $30 million in cap space for?
Yeah, but how do you get around this as a front office?
How do you
get around?
Pick the money up.
No. I'm talking about perception.
Oh,
the Eagles, and as you know, the Eagles care about perception.
The winning. No,
because if they trade Jalen Hurts, that means it didn't go well. I don't think Jalen Hurts is getting dealt no matter what happens. I think
you're gonna hang on to that guy.
They're setting Nick Sirianni up to be the scapegoat if things go wrong, and it's an easier scapegoat than the quarterback.
Here is the biggest problem that I have with how and where they are right now as a franchise. Like you said, there's no excuses. Bro, if you don't get close to an NFC title game or win it or get to a Super Bowl, no matter how much money you spent, John McMullen said it today. I didn't think Jalen played that poorly. I thought he was okay. Well, guess what? Okay's not going to beat Andy and Mahomes. You're not going to, all the money you spend, think about that. You could spend all the 49ers, all the money you spend isn't good enough. What do? Go back into the game again the next year with Jalen Hurts knowing full well you don't have the guy that can get you across the finish line?
Yeah, but why do you think that?
I don't.
Why do you think
he had the same personnel a year ago and he had a lesser of a year? Well, why do I think that? Because they're not coaching him like they did in 22.
Well, that's a fair point. Because
if you had him playing like 22 and 23, I say you were in the Super Bowl this year.
Listen, and that's a good point. But I understand some of the criticisms that people have of Jalen Hurts. But I'm not going to deny my eyeballs. I watched Jalen Hurts lead our team to a Super Bowl in 22. I watched him play a tremendous football game with one mistake in that game. One mistake.
Would you not agree that's the best game he's played in the last 18, 20 games?
It is. But my point is, I have seen him do it. I've seen him do it versus the pinnacle of the league. So I'm not going to sit here and say he can't take us there. Now, if he's not coached properly, then yeah, you're right. I mean, if they don't make him that player or at least put him in a position to be that player, then yeah, you're right. I mean, there is probably going to be limitations on that. But I'm not going to say I don't think we can win with Jalen Hurts. I think we can win with Jalen Hurts.
I don't think Jalen Hurts can win in Philly being coached the way he is.
Let's see what they do with Kellen Moore. Are you really confident that they're not going to get Jalen back into a system that works for him?
No.
Really? How come?
Yeah.
I'm curious to see why.
Because Kellen's never coached that way in that style of play. And if you're telling me that,
neither did Shane Steichen.
Okay, well, wait a minute. He's going to create a brand new offense that he's never coordinated or called a play for in his entire offensive OCing in his entire 7 years as an OC in the league. It's a brand new style. It's a brand new offense, and he's never play called it before. Unless you're going to give me the Dak Prescott offense, he's called that offense. He was successful in that offense.
I think you
think they're going to play 22 ball. I do not.
I'm not saying I think they're going to play 22 ball. I think that Kellen's going to have an open mind and evolution and how to call a game plan for Jalen Hurts. If he doesn't, forget the team, forget the front office. Kellen Moore is going to look like shit if he can't make this work. If he gets fired 3 years in a row, he's going to look like shit. He's got to make this thing work.
That front office wants a running attack offense.
No, they don't.
22, you were a running attack offense.
But there was good in that too, though.
Okay, there was good passing. There was
good passing in that. I mean, Eagles 22.
There was efficient passing. Right.
I mean, we didn't torch teams through the air all year, but we ran
them over. Time of possession, field position, third and short, winning first down.
Yeah, Hurts threw for 3,700 yards, 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I mean, he had a pretty good year, to be honest.
Low market value when quarterbacks that you're paying $50 million for too. But you ran people over. You're not a passing offense. You think you are.
I'm not ready to say that Kellen Moore is going to die for this Eagles front office and do what they want. He needs to have success for himself and his career more than the Eagles need to have success. That means he's going to have to make a good team around the quarterback that he has. Now, here's where I think we are underestimating as a fan base, me included. I think it's going to take a little bit to get this thing going. I think it's going to take 6 to 8 games, maybe more, for Kellen to really understand, and Jalen to learn each other's style, to figure out how to communicate, to figure out how to call plays for each other, to figure out how to do those things. It took Shane Steichen a little bit, but he got it on the rails pretty quick. And to your point, he never called an offense for a Jalen Hurts style of quarterback.
No, he called the year previous. He called Phillip Rivers.
Exactly. So that was new for him. So if you're a good offensive mind, like I believe Shane Steichen is, like I believe Kellen Moore is, despite the commentary on Kellen Moore, I believe he is a smart offensive-minded coach. I think he did a great job with Dak Prescott. I thought he was a little underwhelming last year with Justin Herbert, to be honest. I didn't think what he did there was great. I thought he had a great quarterback there, a lot of good players. Now, they were riddled with injuries. There was a lot of stuff that went on there, but I think I got to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he's going to make an offense for this quarterback. Now, they're going to add some things. Like I said, I think they're going to force Jalen Hurts to do more, to throw the ball over the middle, to become a more well-rounded quarterback. But I'm not ready to say that they're going to coach him like they did in 23. 23 was a catastrophic failure. 22 was a great success.
You can't afford 6 to 8 games though to learn.
You can't, Cal. That's a good point. I mean,
it's the dilemma they're
in. Twiz, there he is in the chat. He's been saying this team should rip all Band-Aids off this year, put the young guns in, and let's get ready for a hell of a year in 2025 where we go for the Super Bowl. I don't want to go there because that just dismisses the 24 season and we're in June. Like, I think we have a chance to compete this year, but with the new coordinators, I think it might take a little bit of time to get this thing rolling. Now, it took the Chiefs a little bit to get going last year, right? I mean, they were struggling.
Oh yeah.
So if they get in with
the right, it took them about 10 games.
I mean, look, last year we blew our load early, man. We were friggin' the best team in the league in September and October. I don't care about September and October. I'd rather be the best team in the league in November and December going into the playoffs. And if it takes them a little bit and they can turn it on, I think we can compete next year.
Here's Swanky here. Last year we had the gauntlet. We went through KC, Dallas, Buffalo, and then played the Niners after they had a 10 days rest. Puts up 30 points. Defense sucked. Yeah, well, Vic said the defense sucked.
Well, I mean, I don't want to rehab. I don't want to continue.
Yeah, no, we're not.
But I mean, just look at that, right? We beat Kansas City, Dallas, and Buffalo, a gauntlet, and then they get
Miami.
And before that, Miami, and then they get rid of Sean Desai, and everything goes to shit. You can't
It
beat that.
became
The
worse.
Niners blow you off the page, which is just embarrassing for every Eagle fan. That was brutal to watch. Brutal game to watch.
By the way, do you know who the offensive coordinator for Dak Prescott at Mississippi State was?
No, who was it?
Brian Johnson.
No way.
Yeah.
I thought he was at UF. Did he start at Mississippi State?
They were helping recruit him for it. Well, Dan Mullen was the head coach at Mississippi State before he got the job at Florida.
Oh, and then he brought Brian Johnson over to Florida. Oh, I didn't even realize that. I don't know. I think I got, you know, I'm a little surprised that you think that Kellen Moore is gonna.
I'm how about this? I like Kellen. I do. I think Kellen did some good things with Dak and expanded his game. Okay. Are you going to what? But Jalen doesn't, he's not the passer Dak is. He'll never be. If you are trying to do something with that and trying to make him look a little like, I don't want him to look like Dak of 22, not a better version of 23 with more passing attempts. Dude, you have two wide receivers that gained 1,000 yards in the last 2 years, and you have a quarterback who's kind of below the NFL standard today. Even Baker Mayfield throws for more yards.
But he's already proven that doesn't matter.
That's the point. That's my point. Why are they so concerned with that?
Yeah, I guess they're just in love with the
idea. Keep him at 435 attempts. Don't put him at 450 or 556. You create more They created more turnovers because more passing attempts instead of doing what they did a year ago. I think they're really afraid of the injury and that Carson Wentz thing in Los Angeles, him losing those 2 games in 22. I think they're concerned with all that, and they want him around for a while.
That's stupid, though. You paid the guy. He brought you to the Super Bowl based on what he did. Maximize it. Take it. You have Jalen Hurts, a dynamic athlete, a dynamic player by every metric, who has shown that throughout his career. The minute you take him out of what he does best, he struggles, turns the ball over, doesn't look comfortable, pans out to the right, doesn't do the right things. It's very obvious what they need to do.
Do you know the 2 games that he's played the greatest in? The Southeastern Conference Championship game when he went in for Tua, and the Super Bowl. What does that tell you about the kid? Those are the electric games and moments you need your guy to play well. Well, fucking coach him like the way he played in those games.
I think that's the biggest disconnect with Hurts and the staff. I think Jalen is a serious dude. Like, he likes grizzly coaches. He wants to be told, no, that's not how you do that. He wants to be. I wish
he had a Vic Fangio as his coach. Like,
exactly.
Somebody like
that's what he wants. And I don't think there's not that many that
Nick Sirianni or like Nick Saban.
Well, yeah, but did he like Nick? I mean, I think he likes Nick Saban. I thought, that's why I thought he gave him the respect to stay there the year on the bench. So I do think he liked Nick Saban. And then he went to an offensive air raid attack to probably prepare for the NFL. That was probably more of a business decision than it was a coaching decision.
Well, no, you know what it was? The reason they went to Tua and they got away from him, because they got away from the old style Alabama, run the ball 3 yards in a cloud of dust. What they were doing with Tua was they were creating more opportunity for receivers and running backs to want to come and play at Alabama. Because, look, when you're a kid in the country and I see a quarterback that's running like this Milrose kid or whatever it is, Milroe, he's not going anywhere in the NFL. But you know what he does do?
Yeah,
he kind of hurts them a little bit, because when you look at the wide receivers that have gone through Alabama over the last couple of years, Alabama known for wide receivers since when? The last 6-7 years?
That's
okay.
It. Well, there's some. Julio, Calvin Ridley was really good in college. Julio Jones,
a wide receiver in the last, prior to Nick getting there, can you name me a wide receiver from Alabama that was worth a shit? Not Ozzie Newsome. He was a tight end. Can you name me an Alabama wide receiver in history? Who, Ray Perkins?
Yeah, no. And even before that, you remember when Blake Sims and Jake Coker were the quarterbacks in Alabama? Yeah. I mean, they didn't have that type of offense.
He was doing that to get the recruits to want to come and all those wide receivers and running backs and offensive linemen to want to play at Bama. That's why he did it. All right. Zander, where are we in the like list, brother?
Let me see if I can pull it up.
Hey, by the way, folks, tomorrow we may be on earlier. Zander, we may want to tell the folks that, right?
Yeah, definitely tell them that. So tomorrow, Hopefully my cousin's not listening. My cousin's getting married on the middle of a Thursday, which is just very unfortunate. I mean, just a very unfortunate time for me to have to deal with this. And I'm like in the wedding and stuff. So Big Silz is going to have an early show tomorrow. It's only going to be 2 hours. I know you guys are going to be pissed. I'm sorry. But we're going to do it right out of Birds 365. And we're going to do 10 to 12 Big Silz. Now, if you can't make that, that's fine. Make sure you catch the replay. But at least Big Silz will give you some content tomorrow. Yep. Sorry that it's my girl cousin Flex, but still, it's 1:30 on a Thursday. I'm like, really? That's not. Are you
going to be not hammered the next day?
Yeah, remember I wake up and do Birds 365 on Friday. I'm going to be like losing.
Xander's had too many cocktails from the night before there with that. So tomorrow, so that's going to be 10 o'clock. You guys' time, is that correct?
Yeah, so it's been an early morning for Silz out there in Cali. 7 a.m. Silz will be getting up. So 10 to 12 tomorrow, guys. Be here. So we'll have 4. The good news is we'll have 4 straight hours of content. In the morning, right? We'll have 8 to 10. We'll have Farzy 6 to 7, and then we will have 8 to 10 Birds 365, 10 to 12 Big Silz. So at least we will have good 4 hours of content for 5 hours of content for you guys.
Absolutely. So we're going to do that tomorrow. I see that we're around 156 likes. That's fantastic. By the way, this is going to be more of a retroflect. This is going to be more of a retrospect with Merrill Reese because Merrill has just been inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And he just won the Pete Rozelle Award, which is given to the top broadcaster. And it's a high esteem honor. And we're so looking forward to congratulating him and giving him an opportunity to tell everybody some stories here about his journey being the voice of the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's coming up here in a couple minutes. Hit the like button, Zander. Awesome stuff as always. Thank you so much, my friend.
164 we're at, by the way. Let's get to 200, everybody. We appreciate you guys, man. Our fans are the best. Our viewers are the best, even the ones that chirp back at us. I love it because it makes good football talk, right, Silz?
You got it, man. Thank you so much, Zander. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.